After your film's been taken out of the dryer, what you're going to do is you're going to place that film on your table. There's a natural curve to your film that you'll notice when you're doing this. You want to make sure that the shiny side is up. Your film is really fragile at this point because it can very easily get scratched and you can get fingerprints on it. So you want to make sure that as you're dealing with it, you're not touching the middle of the film, you're only holding it by the edges. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut the film into rows of 5. It's tough to see on this video, but in person what you'll notice is there's individual picture frames. There are roughly 12 pictures on this roll of film, and when you look up close, each one is individually numbered along the bottom. So you want to make sure that you are setting your film so that the numbers are face up and along the bottom edge as opposed to the top edge. At the beginning of your film, you're going to have a black area with no pictures on it. This was the area of the film that got exposed to light before or as you were loading your camera. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a pair of scissors and you're going to cut off that black area. Now what we'll be doing is we'll be loading this film into a clear file sleeve, which you'll be seeing momentarily. This sleeve can hold up to 5 frames of film, so that's exactly how many we're going to cut. So what you'll do is you'll go ahead, and again, it's probably difficult to see in this video, but in person you'll see individual frames. So you're going to count off each one of those frames, and when you get to 5, you're going to very carefully pick up the film, take that pair of scissors, and cut between the 5th and the 6th frame. There's only about maybe a 1/16 of an inch in between each frame. So when you cut this, you want to be really careful not to cut into the individual picture frame. You'll then continue in this manner, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, carefully holding the film and cutting between the 5th and the 6th frame. What you'll notice next is that this last strip of film, there are only 3 pictures that came out. However, as I mentioned before, we want to cut in rows of 5, and you'll understand why in a little bit. But we never want to have a row of just 3 pictures, or a row of 2, a row of 4, or a row of 1. We always want to use rows of 5. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, and then you'll notice that there's some black area. I'm going to keep a lot of that black area to ensure that the length of this film is similar to these other rows of 5. It's a little bit shorter, but that'll be okay. This is the drawer that you'll find the negative sleeves in. When you'll open it, you'll notice that there are 2 bins. One is labeled 120 film, the other 35mm film. We're going to be using the 35mm sleeves. Make sure that you don't accidentally grab the 120. Once we've cut our film into our rows of 5, it's now time to put it into the clear file sleeve. This clear file sleeve is going to help keep your film protected from dust and scratches. Before placing it in, you want to double check that your film is still in number order, which means we've got the lowest number in the top left and then the highest number in the bottom right. Ensure that the film is still not upside down, the shiny side should be up, and your numbers should be along the bottom edge of each row. From here, you're going to carefully, again, grab it by the edges, and in this clear file sleeve, can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but you'll open up a row, and if your film is perfectly dry, it should slide in fairly easily. You'll continue with the 2nd, 3rd, and however many more rows of film you might have. Once you're done loading all your film, it's now time to label with your name and project. One thing I want to mention before we do that is we only used 3 rows of film because only 12 pictures were shot. However, these clear file sleeves have 7 rows, so you can store up to about 35 pictures, as you'll see here. So depending on the length of the assignment that you shot, you can use a negative sleeve for one large roll of film, or you can use these for multiple shorter assignments. When you're all done, you want to once again double check that everything is in number order. So if you hold up the clear file sleeve to the light, you'll be able to see the numbers along the bottom. Once again, make sure that everything is in number order. This next step is really important. It's often forgotten by students, and what ends up happening is they'll lose their film, and we don't know who the film belongs to if it's found. So please get in the habit of writing not only your name at the top with the Sharpie, but also the project name. This way, if you lose your clear file sleeve, we know who to return it to. But also, when we make the contact sheet, this name and the project name will show up on that as well.